Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Supadantikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Vishakham Vidam Sha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartham Eka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Pudhirya Samaham Prabhadhye Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavadaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hari Om Tat Sat. So welcome all the devotees for today's teachings of Lord Chaitanya class. So we are reading from chapter 17 from this para. Okay. So there's a nice example showing how Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtana movement can save one from the miseries of material existence. The desire for material enjoyment is just like a seed sown in the earth. If a seed is inundated by too much water, there is no possibility of its fructifying. Similarly, if a conditioned soul is captivated by material enjoyment because the seed of such enjoyment is within his heart, he can be overwhelmed and overpowered by a flood of transcendental activities performed in love of God. In this way, his seed of material enjoyment cannot fructify into a conditioned life of material existence. The conditioned living entities in the present age of Kali are being overpowered by the flood of love of God inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtana movement can save us from the miseries of material existence. The example is given that, it's just like seed sown in the earth. If it is inundated, if you put a lot of water, what will happen? There is no possibility of its fructifying. Similarly, if a conditioned soul is captivated by material enjoyment because the seed of such enjoyment is within his heart, he can be overwhelmed and overpowered by a flood of transcendental activities performed in love of God. So this is how we can mitigate the enjoyment propensity and transform ourselves in the service of loving exchange with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the seed of material enjoyment will not fructify in the conditioned life of material existence. So that is what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction is. So in the age of Kali, we are being overpowered by the flood of love of God inaugurated by Chaitanya and his associates. So it is Lord Chaitanya's mission that all of us take to this process of Sankirtana movement and enjoy or be in a blissful state so that we can cross over the material miseries. We can cross over the miseries of material existence, this samsara sagara of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, we can cross over easily if we take up this Sankirtana movement to our heart and practice it sincerely. So in this connection, there is a verse written by His Holiness Prabodhananda Saraswati in his book Sri Chaitanya Chandramrita. This verse states that materialistic persons are very enthusiastic to maintain their family members, wife and children, and that there are also many mystic speculators who are engaged in speculating about liberation from the miseries of material life and who therefore undergo various austerities, finances. But those who have discovered the greatest transcendent flavor in the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu no longer have a taste for such activities. Why we will not have any taste for material activities? Because as we take up to this process sincerely, as we keep chanting every day, the mirror of heart gets cleansed. See, we can see ourselves in the mirror if the mirror is clear and clean. If the mirror is covered with a lot of dirt and dust, can we see ourselves? We cannot see. Okay. So the process of cleansing the mirror of the heart is the chanting process. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this is the process. So by regularly chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, the mirror of heart, which has been accumulated, which is covered by the accumulated contamination from time immemorial, from so many births, it will slowly and gradually gets cleansed. Then we'll be able to see ourselves. Now, if it is covered with so much dirt and dust, layer after layer, will we be able to see ourselves? No. Right? So if it is cleansed, then we can see ourselves. So who we are the spirit soul. So the process of chanting will help us to clean this mirror of the heart and we can see ourselves. So that is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced, especially for people who are suffering or rotting in this material existence. So those who are under the impression that there is material contamination in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in his devotional service are called Mayavadis. So this is a type of people who follows a certain path. Some people are thinking that there is material contamination in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They think that this Supreme Lord, who has a form, is also a product of Maya. Maya is superior, and Lord Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana, they are subordinate to Maya. But in fact, Lord Krishna, clearly states in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Yedu Nanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartade. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. This material nature, is working under my supervision. So how can he be subjugated by Maya? It is not possible. Maya is under his control. He is controlling Maya. Not that Maya is controlling the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. So this particular path or this philosophy cannot be accepted by Vaishnavas. Vaishnava knows that Bhagwan is the ultimate, he is the absolute truth. The other two aspects as Paramatma and as Brahman definitely is there, but Brahman is incomplete, Paramatma is incomplete. Bhagwan is the complete, is a culmination of Brahman and Paramatma. So Bhagwan is the ultimate and he is absolute truth, which includes, is all inclusive, which includes the Brahman aspect and the Paramatma aspect also. So one cannot say that Lord Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is subordinate to Maya or the material nature. So that's a wrong conception or incomplete understanding. According to their imperfect speculation, it's a speculation. So Prabhupada says, and it's a speculation which is imperfect. The impersonal Brahman is the only existence in the cosmic manifestation. So they all are of the opinion that Lord has no form. He has Nirakara, Nirvishesha, Nirguna. He has no Akara means he has no form, no qualities, no attributes like that. Nirvishesha, Nirakara, Nirguna. These are the attributes that they give to the Brahman. Why they say, you cannot limit this, the creator of the whole universe, to a form. That is what they say. So even if you want to give them some form, that is material, for our convenience purpose, so that we can concentrate or we can focus on that form. Because if we don't have a form, we cannot focus. So that is a temporary. Ultimately, the Lord is Brahman. That is what they claim. So that's a wrong conception. So as soon as the Supreme Personality of God is introduced, they consider that his plenary personality arises from Maya or the external material energy. So as I explained earlier, they think that he is a product of Maya. Okay, he is not supreme. He is inferior to the material nature or Maya. So that's again wrong, because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself says energy is a part of his energy. Okay, he has got multivarious energies. He has internal energy by which the whole spiritual world is manifested. He has material energy by which the whole material world is manifested, and he has marginal energy also, by which all the living entities are manifested. So Bhagwan is the last word for the supreme absolute truth, which they deny. They say Bhagwan doesn't have a form. If at all he has a form, you can treat any form for the Lord as per your convenience. Okay, you want to just fix or focus your mind or intelligence on the form, because we cannot focus on the Supreme Brahman. So for that convenience, we are treating him with some form. Okay? That's why they don't differentiate between Lord Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, Ganapati and all. Are the form of the same Lord. Because at the end of the day, they think that these are all temporary and material forms. Okay, this is a product of Maya. That is what this. So first of all, they think that the Lord has no form. Even if he has a form, it's material, and that form is subordinate to the Maya or material nature, and you can focus or you can meditate on any form. All forms are equal, and they go to the extent that everybody's Lord, because in everybody's body, the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is there. So all are, Narayana. They deny the existence of Jivatma in the living entity. So they take only the importance, or they give importance only to the Paramatma. They don't give importance to Jivatma, who is a living entity and who is subordinate to the Paramatma. So Paramatma is there in everybody's body. So all are, equal to Narayana. Everybody is addressed as Narayanas. So these are different conceptions or different philosophies the Mayavadis, follow. So as per Vaishnava philosophy, every living entity is an individual soul and who are subordinate to the super soul. We are supposed to serve the super soul, because he says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Okay, all these living entities are my part and parcel. Sanatana, they're all eternal. They're all eternal. Every living entity is eternal, and he has a relationship with the Supreme Lord as servant in their own capacity. So that is the Vaishnava philosophy. And this material world is temporary, and once we quit this material world after self-realization, we'll go to the spiritual world where we'll get a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different loving exchanges, different mellows. So this is Vaishnava philosophy. So such persons consider all incarnations of the Supreme Lord to be contaminated by the material nature. As I told you, all these incarnations, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, all of them are contaminated by this material nature. According to them, the material body and the activities of matter are all that give a living being an individual identity. According to them, liberation means the end of an individual identity for the pure living being. In other words, the Mayavadis maintain that when a living entity is liberated, he becomes one with the Supreme Impersonal Brahman. So their destination is to become one with the Supreme Brahman, or merging in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Or that is ultimate destination for them. As far as they are concerned, the Brahman is subordinate to Supreme Lord because that is the effulgence emanating from the Supreme Lord. So here Brahman is ultimate for them. They want to merge into the Supreme Brahman. So that is ultimate. They don't have the conception of the Supreme Lord having a form, spiritual form. And they don't have the conception of living and serving the Supreme Lord in the Vaikuntha planets or the spiritual planets. Their ultimate destination is Brahman, which as per us, it is the effulgence that is emanating from the body of the Supreme Lord. So these are the differences in the philosophy that the impersonalist and the personalist. So ultimately, their destination is Sayujya Mukti. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 5 types of mukti given. Can anyone say which are those? There are 5 types of mukti. Anyone remembers?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sayujya Mukti, Sarupya, Salokya. Two, I don't know.
Okay. Samipya, Sarshti. Okay. So Sayujya is the mukti of liberation that is decided by the impersonalist devotees, who thinks that Lord has no form, is not a person. So that is the lowest. They want to merge in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. That is Sayujya lowest. Then there are other 4, Samipya, one who is, after liberation, one who stays with the Supreme Lord very closely, near, Samipya. Salokya, one who stays in the same log of the Supreme Lord. And Sarupya, one who stays in the same rupa or form of the Supreme Lord, same features. Okay, and Sarstya, one who enjoy all the opulences of the Supreme Lord. So these are the 5 different liberations, possible. But out of which the Sayujya Mukti is the lowest, because nobody wants to merge or lose his identity or the individuality. Everybody wants to, especially the Vaishnavas, they want to serve the Supreme Lord. Only after liberation, the actual devotional service begins. So they want to serve the Supreme Lord. But as far as the pure devotee is concerned, they are not at all bothered about any of this liberation. They want to serve the Supreme Lord wherever they are, in whichever condition they are. So that is their desire. So they are not after liberation. They are not after sense enjoyment. No mukti, no bhukti. They want to serve birth after birth, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in CH-17 that I want to serve your lotus feet birth after birth. So that is my desire. So bhukti, mukti is all secondary for a devotee. So in other words, the Mayavadis maintain that when a living entity is liberated, he becomes one with the supreme impersonal Brahman. So we can never become Narayana because we are part. How a part can become a whole? Okay, it is not possible. According to such Mayavada philosophy, the personality of Godhead is about his devotional service, and his emotional devotees are all under the spell of Maya and are consequently subjected to the material condition. Those who forget the transcendent nature of the Supreme Lord, his abode, his devotional service, and his devotees consider all these to be but manifestations of material activity. One who thinks that there is a possibility of arguing about transcendence is called agnostic, and one who thinks that there is a possibility of criticizing transcendence is called an atheist. Lord Chaitanya wanted to accept all kinds of agnostics, atheists, skeptics, and unfaithfuls and swallow them in the flood of love of God. Therefore, he accepted the renounced order of life to attract all these forces. So Lord Chaitanya wanted to transform all these people, agnostics, atheists, and skeptics, unfaithful, everybody. He wanted them to get transformed and immerse themselves in love of Godhead. That's why just to propagate this Sankirtana movement, at the age of 24, he took sannyasa. Okay, those time sannyasa means there is a great respect in the society. Okay, if you are an householder, you may not get that respect, but if you take the robe of a sannyasi, everybody respects because it is Bharat Bhumi, we have this Vedic culture. So everybody respect a sannyasi. So whatever the sannyasi says or instructs, the common people will follow because he is showing by his living example. So that's the reason he had to transform all these sort of people like atheists, skeptics, and unfaithful and all. So he wants to just immerse them in the flood of love of Godhead. That was the reason that he had to take sannyasa. Okay. Because when he was in the grahastha life, people were not taking him seriously. They were not taking him seriously. So that's why he had to take sannyasa. So any questions or any comments so far?
No problems.
Nowadays there are so many pseudo sannyasis. People don't know which one is who is original, who is duplicate. So that's a problem. But those days it was not much. All of them are, whether they are personalists or impersonalists, they are all transcendentalists. Nowadays there are so many imitation sannyasis, pseudo sannyasis. So one has to be very careful whom to follow. One has to follow a bona fide sannyasi who comes in the proper parampara. Otherwise, we'll be cheated or we'll be misguided. The Prabhupada said there are two types of people. Okay, one who are cheaters and others who are cheated. Okay, cheaters and the cheated. So we'll fall in any of the category. Whether we may be cheating or we may get cheated. So we should not fall in any of this category. We should try to follow the right bona fide sampradaya in the discipline, proper discipline succession, so that we don't get cheated by the so-called sannyasis, pseudo sannyasis. So Lord Chaitanya remained a householder until his 24th year, and in the 25th year of his life, he accepted the renounce order. Okay, 48 years he lived on this earthly planet. 24 years, as brahmachari and grahastha, and after that, he took to sannyasa. 24 years, he maintained his sannyasa order, and 48 years, he disappeared from this planet. After accepting the renounce order sannyasa, he attracted many other sannyasis. When he had been spreading the Sankirtana movement as a family man, many Mayavadi sannyasis did not take his movement very seriously. But after the Lord accepted sannyasa order of life, he delivered not only Mayavadi sannyasis, but speculative students, atheists, and those who were attached to fruitive activities and unnecessary criticism. The Lord was so kind that he accepted all these people and delivered to them the most important factor in life, love of God. So after he took sannyasa, he could transform even Mayavadi sannyasis. We know that in Kashi, when he went and when he had a debate with the Prakashananda Saraswati, the leader of the Mayavadi sannyasis of that time, very famous. After his debate, after his discussion, Prakashananda Saraswati, along with his 60,000 disciples, accepted Vaishnavism, accepted shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he transformed many people, including Mayavadi sannyasis and jnanis and those who are not believing in God. So he could, because it is said that by just having an association with a pure devotee, even leva matra, there is a saying, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kahe, leva matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Okay. So if you take a balance, one side you put sense gratification, okay, and mukti, liberation, and the Sorga, the heavenly planets, attainment of planet. The other side, you put a fraction of association of devotee. Which one will weigh more? If you take a balance, okay, the weighing machine. In one side, you put the attainment of Swargaloka and the liberation. The other side, you are putting fraction of second or Lavamatra association of devotee? Which one will weigh more?
Sadhu Sangh.
Yeah, sadhu sang. Okay, so you are getting the enjoyment, the heavenly planets, including the liberation from this material existence. That is negligible in front of the association of devotee for a lavamatra, for a fraction of second. Okay, so here, because of the presence of the pure devotee, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, because of the presence of the pure devotee, all these sannyasis who are practicing impersonalism or Mayavadi sannyasis got transformed by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. So to fulfill his mission of bestowing love of God upon the conditioned souls, Lord Chaitanya devised many methods to attract those who were uninterested in love of God. After he accepted the renounce order, all the agnostics, critics, atheists, and material speculators became his students and followers. Even many who were not Hindus and who did not follow the Vedic principles accepted Lord Chaitanya as supreme teacher. So not only those who are following Sanatana Dharma or Hindus, but even those who are not Hindus, for example, those who are following Islam and other faiths, all of them got transformed by the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even many who were not Hindus and who did not follow the Vedic principles accepted Lord Chaitanya as supreme teacher. The only person who avoided the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were those sannyasis who were known as the Mayavadi philosophers of Benares. Okay, their plight is described by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. The Mayavadi philosophers of Benares were less intelligent because they wanted to measure everything by direct perception. Seeing is believing. So they want to, measure everything by direct perception. The sannyasis in Benares. Okay. So that's why there were only a few sannyasis who are not accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some unfortunate sannyasis. That's what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami says. On this basis, they calculated that whatever is perceived by material means is Maya or illusion, since Maya is full of variegatedness and the absolute truth is transcendental to Maya. They concluded that there is no variegatedness in the absolute truth. So this is their argument. They concluded that there is no variegatedness in the absolute truth. Whatever is perceived by the naked eye or the senses, it's an illusion. Actually, it's not an illusion, it's temporary. Okay. What is Maya? To assume something which is actually not. Maya is that which is not permanent, that which is temporary. It's not that you and I am not existing. We're all existing. Only thing is, our existence in this material world is temporary. We are very much existing. It's not some dream. It's not an illusion, isn't it? We're all interacting with each other. Is it illusion? Is it a dream? It's not a dream. It's reality. But what is illusion is the thinking that we are going to exist in this material world permanently, eternally. That is called Maya. We are going to be there for a few years, 50 years, 60 years, 100 years max, not more than that. Anything that has a beginning, it has an end. So the time will destroy everything. So we have taken birth, jata sahi dhruvam mrityu. Okay, when we have taken birth, definitely there is an end. We have to die also. So that's why our existence in this material world is temporary. So thinking that we will eternally exist in this material world is called an illusion or Maya. It's not that this place is illusion. This place is real, but our attitude of thinking that this is going to be permanent, it is Maya. Okay. Yaksha asked Yudhishthira Maharaj, what is the most surprising thing in this material world? Now, there are so many questions Yaksha asked Yudhishthira. So one of the question asked us, what is the most surprising thing in this material world? So he asked this question, Ahani ahani bhutani gachandiha yamanayam sheshastavaram ichandi kim ascharya madappara. It's telling, every moment, everybody is dying. Mother is dying, father is dying, uncle is dying, dog is dying, horse is dying, elephant is dying, relatives are dying, friends are dying. But what Sheshastavara, what I am thinking is that it is not going to happen to me. Everybody is dying, but I am not dying. I am there, going to be there eternally. So this thinking, this mentality is really surprising. Kim Ascharya Madaparam. Every moment people are dying. Okay, Sheshastavara, which is those who are staying back things that it is only for them. It's not for me. I am going to be there permanently. So what is more surprising than this? So once who have taken birth will definitely die. Okay, so Maya is thinking that we are there or we are going to be there eternally. But this is reality. This material world is real. It is manifested and manifested at frequent interval. It is not unreal. It is temporary. This is what we have to understand Maya means. But whereas the impersonalists say that, this is illusion. Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satyam. This is their philosophy. Brahma is definitely Satyam, an absolute, but Jagat is not Mithya. Jagat is temporary. Jagat is real. It's not illusion. So this is what we have to understand. So any questions or any comments so far? Okay. If not, we'll continue. During Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there were also other impersonal philosophers known as the Mayavadi philosophers of Saranatha. Saranatha is a place near Benares where Buddhist philosophers used to reside, and even today many stupas of the Buddhist Mayavadis can be seen. Another sect of Mayavadi who are followers of Buddhism. The Mayavadi philosophers of Saranatha are different from the impersonalists who believe in the impersonal manifestation of Brahman. According to the Saranatha philosophers, there is no scriptural existence at all. So actually the Buddhists, as we all know, they have rejected Vedas because the leader of Buddha, that means Lord Buddha, rejected Vedas because people at that time were misutilizing the injection in the Vedas for animal sacrifice. So in the name of animal sacrifice, they were slaughtering animals and enjoying for sense gratification. They were eating. So because it is ahimsa, that is what Buddha is meant for. So to implement ahimsa, he had to blindly refuse or reject Vedas. So he has rejected Vedas. Who? Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha is also incarnation of Supreme Lord. So for a particular reason, he had to reject because he had to implement this ahimsa. That's the reason he had to. Then slowly after the Buddha, Adi Shankaracharya came and reinstated the Vedas. So the Mayavadi philosophers of Benares and the philosophers of Saranatha are entrapped by material nature. None of them actually know the nature of the absolute transcendence because their knowledge is incomplete. So since their knowledge is incomplete, we cannot follow in their footsteps. None of them actually know the nature of the absolute transcendence. Although superficially accepting the Vedic principles and considering themselves as transcendentalists, philosophers of Benares do not accept spiritual variegated life. They don't accept that there is a spiritual world, there is Supreme Lord, and there are devotees who are serving and having exchange, loving exchange with him in different mellows. So they don't accept this variegatedness. They say ultimate is Brahman. Brahman means just abstract light, no personality, no service. For us, for Vaishnavas, this is the main thing is service. Devotion means devotion without service cannot be devotion. So that's why Prabhupada always, mentioned this as devotional service, not just devotion. So devotion means there should be service. If you say you love a certain person, Definitely you have to serve. How can you show your love without service? Isn't it? If you want to really express your love, you have to serve him or you have to serve her. So that's why devotional service. Prabhupada always mentioned bhakti as a devotional service. So because they have no information about devotional service, they are called non-devotees or those who are against the devotional service to Lord Krishna. So although they are categorized, they come in the category of transcendentalist. We cannot call them, we cannot call them devotees. So they, as far as we are concerned, they are non-devotees because they don't serve, they don't engage in devoted service to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is a person, who is a supreme person, who has a transcendental form, who accepts service. Okay. So this is what is the main difference between the personalist and the impersonalist. Any points or any comments so far? All are quiet. Okay, I'll continue. The impersonalists speculate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees and subject them to the tests of direct perception. But the Lord, his devotees and his devoted service are not subject to direct perception. See, the Supreme Lord reserves his right not to manifest to his non-devotees. Isn't it? It's not that, a non-devotee says, you show me the Supreme Lord, then I will believe you. No? Why should he show? Is he so cheap? Is he inferior? Or if he servant? Is he servant of all these people, impersonalists? So he reserves the right not to manifest to the non-devotees. And they want to believe only by their direct perception, which is not possible because they are not devotees, and that to non-devotees he will not manifest his form and his activities. But the Lord, his devotees and his devoted service are not subject to direct perception. In other words, spiritual variegatedness is unknown to the Mayavadi philosophy. Therefore, all the Mayavadi philosophers and sannyasis criticized Lord Chaitanya when he was conducting his Sankirtana movement. Initially, as I told you, Prakashananda Saraswati, the leader of the Mayavada sannyasis, were criticizing and belittling the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was doing the Sankirtana movement. So they were treating him, he is a sentimentalist. Actually, he is a sannyasi, he is supposed to learn the Upanishads. Instead of learning all the Vedas and Upanishads, he has engaged himself in this Sankirtana movement or, emotionally chanting, which is not actually meant for the sannyasis. So they were surprised to see Lord Chaitanya chanting and dancing after he accepted his sannyasa order from Keshav Bharati. Or Keshav Bharati belonged to the Mayavadi school. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted sannyasa from a Mayavadi sannyasi. So even after accepting the accepting sannyasa from a Mayavadi sannyasi, Keshav Bharati, why is he behaving like that as a sentimentalist? Why is he not, engaging himself in the study of Shastras? That is their question. Since Lord Chaitanya, therefore, also belonged to the Mayavadi sect of sannyasis, the Mayavadis were surprised to see him engage in chanting and dancing instead of hearing or reading the Vedanta Sutras, as is the custom. So they're all on the Jnana platform. Okay? Main engagement is studying the scriptures. Okay? Why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not engaging himself in studying the Vedanta Sutras? This is the question. The Mayavadi philosophers are very fond of the Vedanta and they misinterpret it in their own way. Misunderstanding their own position, they criticize Lord Chaitanya as an unauthorized sannyasi, arguing that because he was a sentimentalist, was not actually bona fide sannyasi. So their argument was because he is not engaging himself in the study of the Shastras, he is not an bona fide or authorized sannyasi. He is an unauthorized sannyasi. He is not doing what a sannyasi is supposed to do. So that's why he said, they all said he's a sentimentalist because he's not actually a bona fide sannyasi. But then later, after a discussion with Prakashananda Saraswati, he gets transformed, and along with Prakashananda Saraswati, all his followers, 60,000 followers, also got convinced and transformed as Vaishnavas. All of them, they took shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. This is what exactly happened there in Varanasi. Okay. All these criticism were carried to Lord Chaitanya when he was at Banaras. And he was not at all surprised at them. He even smiled when the news was carried to him. He did not associate with the Mayavadi sannyasis, but remained alone and executed his own mission. After staying for some days in Banaras, he started for Mathura. So this was at the time of going to Vrindavan. That time he did not have a debate with this sannyasis, Mayavadi. No, he just smiled and he did not attend anything, just casually left like that. But on his way back, okay, Kashi Mishra and Tapan Mishra and both of them, the Brahmanas from Maharashtra, they requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to please do the needful. Then he went there and had a discussion with the Mayavadi sannyasis and transformed them. So this episode is on his way to Vrindavan, but on his way back, he stayed there and transformed all these Mayavadi sannyasis. Okay. So, any comments or any? Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, actually, Prakashananda Saraswati was challenged Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the discussion. He invited openly for discussion and argument, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accepted because of Tapan Mishra was telling because you have to go.
Tapan Mishra requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to please show the mercy.
Take the challenge.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, the Mayavadi sannyasis were Buddhists or Hindus?
What is that? I didn't get you. Vishajwati, what did you say?
I'm asking that the Mayavadi sannyasis were Hindus or Buddhists?
No, there are two types, as we discussed in this para. No? There are some sect or Mayavadi sannyasis who are called, the transcendentalists of Hindu sect, and there are Mayavadi sannyasis of Buddhist sect also. Both of them are Mayavadi. One who have rejected the Buddhist Mayavadi sannyasis, they have rejected the Vedas. Whereas the Hindu sect Mayavadi sannyasis, they are accepting Vedas. They have not rejected. They are following Vedas. That's the only difference. The Buddhists, they don't accept Vedas at all. Lord Buddha said, reject the Vedas and follow me. That is what Lord Buddha said. But here, Sanatana, the Hindu Mayavadis, they are followers of Sanatana Dharma, the Shastra, the Sanatana scriptures also. But then they were not treating the Lord as a person. They were treating that the Lord has no form, no qualities, no attributes, and no particular abode and all. Lord is a Brahman. Lord is an effulgence, abstract light. That is their version of absolute truth. Is it clear, Vishajwati?
Yes, Prabhuji, clear.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Means Prabhuji, Buddhist and this Sanatan Dharmi Mayavati both don't believe in the form of God.
No, but Buddhists, they don't believe in God at all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Means
Buddhists, they don't believe.
What they believe, Prabhuji?
No, they are just following Lord Buddha. He is the spiritual teacher or mentor or whoever it is. But they don't believe in God. They don't believe in even in the soul.
Means they
Shunya-
don't believe in the Punarjanma?
No. Shunyavadi. That's why they are called Shunyavadi. Shunyam. Everything after the body perishes, it all becomes zero. Shunyavadi.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
They are called Shunyavadi. So actually they are, we can say they are atheists. Contextually, Prabhupada says also, Buddhists are, covered atheists. They're of that type. Voidism. Everything becomes zero, void, nothing, shunya. So that is their philosophy. But our Mayavadi is this, who thinks that Brahman, they are not like that. They are transcendentalists. They are really, spiritualists. But unfortunately, their information is incomplete. They know only one aspect of the Supreme Lord, that is the Brahman. The Lord has three aspects, as we all know: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the complete aspect. So our Sanatana Mayavadi's conception of Brahman is incomplete. That's all. It's not that they are wrong. They are right, but it's an incomplete information.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very bold. Anything else?
Prabhu, my question is Chaitanya Prabhu disappeared page 47.
You have to mute the other one. Yeah, tell me now.
Yeah, 1 second, Prabhu. Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear now?
Yeah, it's okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
He disappeared age of 47.
48. 48 years he.
And he was grahastha up to age 25.
24. Yeah.
24. So remaining year where he was is so after age 25 he was in Calcutta.
He was in Navadip. And the remaining 24 years, 18 years he was in Gambhira in Jagannath Puri. 6 years he was traveling out of 6 years, 4 years he was traveling in South India, and 2 years he was traveling between Bengal and Vrindavan and all. So totally 24 years, 18 years in Jagannath Puri, 6 years we are touring. After 4 years mainly, he was traveling in South India, and other 2 years in Vrindavan and Navadip and all, like that. It's 24 years.
So after 25 only he started the Sankirtana movement, or before?
He started early itself, but nobody was taking it seriously.
Okay.
Because he was a grahastha, even now, when a sannyasi comes home, how we treat, and when a grahastha comes home, how we treat. So when he took this robe of a sannyasi, attire of a sannyasi, the respect and the reception and the acceptance was totally different. So just to get that acceptance, people will take him seriously. So he took this robe as sannyasi.
And when he got this association with Nityananda Prabhu and
Nityananda Prabhu, that was in Navadip only, before he took sannyasa. Nityananda Prabhu is 12 years elder to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay. And other Panchadatta, all when he's...
They're all in Navadip. Okay, before he took sannyasa.
So after this sannyasa only he got this association?
No, before.
Before, okay.
Before.
Prabhuji, I had one more doubt that when Lord Chaitanya was 48 years old, I heard somewhere that he was near the banks of the river, and then some monkeys came and started disturbing him.
I've not heard anything like that. Anyway,
But how did Lord Chaitanya die?
Okay. See, Lord Chaitanya will not die. They just like sun appears and disappear. The Lord, the avatars appear and disappear. Okay.
So how did he disappear?
He disappeared. There are 3 versions. some people says they have seen him merging or entering the temple of Tota Gopinath temple in Jagannath Puri. He entered the sanctum sanctorum and just disappeared in the deity of that temple, Tota Gopinath temple. And some people have simultaneously at the same time saw him in Alarnath temple also, and one more place. There are three places in the temple deity he has just disappeared. His mortal body is not seen. So mainly the main thing that we all know that he has gone to the Tota Gopinath temple and merged in the deity.
That is what people say.
Yeah. So his mortal body is not there. He just merged in the deity of the Tota Gopinath temple.
That is in Puri, no, Guruji?
Yeah, in Puri, yeah, in Puri. He was there in Gambira, staying in Gambira for 18 years. So he's in this. And so this is how he disappeared, because all these saintly personalities, especially avatara, they appear and disappear, unlike us. We take birth and we die, but they appear just like the sun. Sun doesn't take birth and doesn't die, right? It appears and disappears. To our eyes, oh, we said this morning sun has taken birth and evening sun has died. No, we don't say like that. Similarly, all the avataras, they appear in front of our eyes, they disappear from our eyes, and they will manifest in some other place. Because it's not just one planet, there are billions and billions of universes and billions of planets in each universe. Okay, so their Leela is eternally going on. They wound up the Leela here, and they have gone to some other planet, some other universe to perform the Leela there. So the Leela is ongoing. It's never ending Leela, never stopping. Okay. Now also Krishna Leela is going on some planet, some universes. Rama Leela is also going on in some part of the universe. All these things are eternally going on. Is it clear?
Yes.
In early days,
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this happened after Vrindavan when he coming back from Vrindavan.
Yes.
Haribol. Prabhuji, he came to Anantapuri also, no? Because there is a footmark is there. Or...
Yeah. Now, footmark that is recently we have kept, that is our Guru Maharaj, his Holiness Jayaprakash Swami Maharaj requested Padmanabha Swami temple authorities to worship the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is in 1987, we were allowed to keep that lotus feet, and from then onwards, we are worshipping the lotus feet in the temple of. So that is the desire of Guru Maharaj, that wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has visited, now all those temples, we have to keep the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now in Markala, they have got a place there. They are going to have a temple dedicated only for the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because in Markala, Janardhana Swami temple he had visited in Kerala. So near that, they've got a place already, and they're going to build a mandap for that. So wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and whichever temple he has visited in South India or throughout the world, throughout India, Guru Maharaj wants to keep and start the worship of his lotus feet.
Hare Krishna, Jai Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, in Palakkad also in temple there is his lotus feet is there, or his Vigraha is there, I think, in one of the temple. I don't remember where. In one of the temple. So I'll stop the sharing here. Ishan, you can stop.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think his son slept by hearing. So I will stop that.
Okay.